Acts of terror can be carried out in a whole variety of ways, but they can be boiled down to two distinct types. The first is what the militant groups call a spectacular. That would include attacks like the Twin Tower bombing on 9/11, the Mumbai attacks in India, and the Westgate shopping centre in Kenya. They're designed to cause as much damage as possible and to kill as many people as possible. In many ways, they're much more like an actual act of war. The second type of terror is perhaps even more frightening. This is when individuals or small groups carry out indiscriminate attacks on any type of target that they so choose. Car bombs, and obviously the suicide bomb, perhaps the most frightening of all. Now, Russia has got a real problem with this. Since the 90s, there have been nearly 2,000 individual attacks of this nature, and it's killed nearly 3,000 people. There is another variant. It's not peculiar only to Russia, but they have a big problem with it, and that is women suicide bombers, and they're known as the Black Widows. The terror attacks are almost always linked to Islamic groups in Chechnya and Dagestan. The methodology is simple. Touring around cities like Moscow, suicide teams choose likely targets. The metro and all varieties of mass transport are difficult to defend. So too tourist spots and even rock concerts. Basically anywhere with lots of people, soft targets, easy hits. More women carry out terror attacks in Russia than any other country in the world. Here at the Dubrovka Theatre in 2002, 850 people were taken hostage. The terror group was made up of 41 people. 19 of them were women. The terror group was eventually killed along with 118 other theatre goers. What Al-Qaeda and other terror groups around the world have realised is that women are a very useful weapon because they can get nearer to the target than men. Certainly, they can get nearer before they're checked. And the other reason that they want to use them is for propaganda. When a woman carries out a suicide bombing attack, people are genuinely shocked. And the question is, why would a woman go and do this? They then start looking at the causes behind why she's carried out that attack. And that is the winning of the propaganda game. That is when the terrorists are on top. Well, these women attackers are known as Black Widows because it's thought, traditionally at least, that they were indeed the widows of Islamic militant fighters who had died, usually in Chechnya or Dagestan, and that the attacks they carried out were an act of retribution against society here. The fact is that nowadays most are actually recruited and indoctrinated, often in camps in Dagestan. And they don't operate alone. When they come on a mission, a suicide mission more often than not, they come with 2 or 3 mentors. They make sure that they stay in the zone so that they carry out an attack, and they make sure that they go to the target that they have chosen. And more often than not, it's one of those mentors who will press the trigger that explodes the bomb. So Moscow, and indeed the whole of Russia, is bracing itself for another terror attack. Some analysts here say that it is inevitable, but I'm not so sure. Predicting when a terrorist attack is going to take place is extremely difficult to do, and they almost never do it when it's expected. Nonetheless, the security forces are on high alert. But there is an old adage from terror groups, and it is very true. The security forces have to be lucky every time. The Black Widow attackers need to be lucky just once.